ما جاء الكتاب قاضيا على السنة إنما جاءت السنة قاضية على الكتاب.
Right.
And you also see sayings like this. The Quran needs the Sunnah more than the Sunnah needs the Quran.
Right.
Yeah, I tell this to students, they're like, oh, what is this?
Yes.
They're like throwing their papers up in the air, like, astaghfirullah, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I say, students, relax. Look, there's no debate ontologically from the perspective of like being. The Quran is obviously prior to and superior to the Sunnah of the Prophet. Like the Quran is the word of God.
Yes.
The Sunnah of the Prophet is the word and the actions of a human being. Even if it's an inspired human being, it's still a human being, right?
Yeah.
If it weren't for the Quran, if it weren't for the revelation, there would be no prophecy, right? So, prophecy is a product of God intervening in history. So if it weren't for that divine intervention, you don't have prophecy. So the Quran is sort of ontologically prior to and superior to the Sunnah of the Prophet. But hermeneutically, right? Hermeneutics is the kind of study of interpretation, the study of understanding. Hermeneutically, the Sunnah of the Prophet is more powerful than the Quran.
Really?
Right. And this is actually, it's interesting because, I don't like to, kind of dump on Western scholarship, but in the kind of 20th century, a group of Western literary scholars realized that the real power in a text lies not in the author, but in the interpreter. Which Muslims understood this, at the very beginning of the Islamic tradition, right? Which is the interpreter has the power.
Right.
Imagine this. There's like you're out on the street here and there's a window and there's maybe something beautiful inside here.
Yeah.
Let's say this is England, so there's a Christmas tree. It's Christmas time, there's Christmas trees, and you're outside. It's like very Dickensian. You're looking in, you got like the gloves with no fingers on them. You got the weird hat. Okay, and you're looking in, and the window is distorted. The window is so what are you seeing? Like what controls what you're seeing? You don't even actually know what's inside. You only know what's coming through the window, right? So if the window distorts what you're seeing or changes what it is or even gives a whole new image, that's what you see.
Right.
The window is holding the power, that the lens through which you see is actually controlling the whole process. So in a system where you interpret an interpretive tradition, like let's say the American legal tradition, what is the meaning of the Constitution, for example? It doesn't matter what the Constitution says. I mean, you don't even need to read the Constitution because what matters is the interpretation of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what the previous interpretations of the Supreme Court are. What matters is the most recent interpretation of the Supreme Court. They define what that means.
Right.
Right. So in an interpretive system, you think of it like an onion.
Yeah.
The core of the onion is, of course, the heart of the onion, but it's the outer layers that through which we perceive that core. So Muslim scholars, and all Muslim scholars agreed with this, Sunni, Shia, even like, Ismaili, for example, scholars think this. All of them have always read the Quran through the Sunnah of the Prophet. You read the Quran through the Sunnah of the Prophet.
Yes.
Right? The Sunnah of the Prophet explains the Quran. So the Quran tells us to pray. The Quran doesn't say how to pray. The Quran doesn't explicitly say when to pray. The Quran doesn't tell us what to do if we make a mistake in our prayer. The Quran doesn't tell us what to do, when it's Friday prayer, right? Jummah prayer. So these things all are explained in the Quran.
Right.
Sorry, in the Sunnah of the Prophet.
Yes.
The Sunnah of the Prophet adds to the Quran. So like my kids the other day, they were saying, I don't know why, they're like, can we eat lion meat? They're like, we want to, I don't know what we said. We were like looking at something, and it was a guy who like just travels and eats weird foods in places. And he's like, he went to some country and he's like, they got this lion meat hamburger. And my kids are like, oh, I want the lion meat hamburger.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't eat that.
Yes.
Although apparently some Muslim scholars say you can. But anyway, in general, why? The Quran doesn't say don't eat lion meat. Right? The Quran says blood is prohibited, carrion is prohibited, pork is prohibited. But animals with canines are prohibited too, carnivores, because the Prophet, naha an kulli dhi anyab, right? So anything that has canines, also prohibited.
Yes.
adds to the Quran. Very importantly, the Sunnah specifies the Quran.
Right.
Specifies it, restricts it. So, and this is why I find, I mean, again, I got nothing but love for all my Muslim brothers and sisters. But sometimes people will come and say, Ya akhi, I don't want to deal with hadiths. Don't tell me the Sunnah of the Prophet. Oh, look, I just follow the Quran. I'll be like, oh, really? So do you think, like, let's say I steal this pen from, is this a pen? This is extremely heavy.
It's a stylus for...
Like it's a computer pen. Yes. Okay. So let's say I steal this computer pen. Let's pretend it's a regular pen, okay? From this table.
Yeah.
Quranically, what's the punishment for me? The punishment is I get my hand chopped off, right? Right? I get my hand chopped off for stealing this. Let's not, in this stylus, these things can be kind of expensive. Let's pretend this is just some cheap pen you get in a hotel. According to the Quran alone, I get my hand chopped off.
Yes.
The Sunnah of the Prophet restricts it. So from the Prophet's hadith, we know, for example, that the item has to be above a certain value. It's below a certain value, you're not going to get your hand chopped off. You're just going to get, you have to return the item. You get yelled at. You get smacked a bunch of times with a paddle. You get put in prison. Whatever the punishments that we've decided on are. Okay. Then let's say, we're here in the studio. Let's say this is like an extremely expensive computer stylus, yes. Right? So this is like $1,000. That's above the limit. I steal it. We know from the Sunnah of the Prophet, from the Hadith in the Prophet and the Sunnah of Abu Dawood and other collections, that the item has to be in what's called a hirz. Hirz means a secure location. So you left it out on the table. If I take this, I've committed a crime. I get dragged into court. You're going to say, this guy stole my stylus. I'm going to get smacked or put in prison or whatever the punishment that is just determined in what's called ta'zir punishment. Right. But I'm not going to get my hand chopped off. So it has to be in a secure location. But let's say you have this